Great. Good morning, everybody. It's really good to see everybody. I'm so glad we're able to do this program with the entire 11th and 12th grade and that you're all with us. It's a really exciting day. We're bringing back a lot of former Milken students to share some of their wisdom and expertise with you. One of the coolest parts of this job is to be able to reconnect with our alumni and to work with them in so many different capacities. As the alumni director. And one of the alumni over the last year that's been most active has been Alex Schwartz. Alex graduated from Milken in 2003, and where I usually share a lot about somebody's background and what they did after Milken and kind of what their professional and academic journey has been. Today, being Career Discovery Day, is sort of the purpose. So I'm going to allow Alex to share with you his background, what he's been up to since his time at Milken, maybe sprinkle in some of his own Milken memories and experiences. And then we will do our best to leave some time before our next session for you guys to ask any questions you might have for Alex. But we thought he would be a great beginning for today to kind of set the tone as we want you all to think about careers and discovering options and opportunities that are available to you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alex. Thank you very, very much for being with us. And the floor is yours.
Thanks, Ross. Yo, everyone. Nice to meet all of you virtually. This is a lot less anxiety driven than standing in front of all of you in person. So this is kind of cool for me. Uh, I started my Milken career early on at Stephen S. Weiss. I'm sure some of you did too. Went to Stephen S. Weiss and then Milken for middle school and high school. And high school for me was amazing. I mean, uh, I didn't, I didn't love high school right away, but once I met like my core group of friends, my life changed, and I had some really amazing teachers help me along the way, and it was uh, it was there that I realized that music was a big part of my life. Um, Behind me is actually a picture of my actual studio. I'm obviously at home right now, but I kind of dabbled in music along the way growing up. I played in a band in middle school, and then once I got into high school, I was too cool for that. I was super into rap music, and I wanted to study rap music and listen to everything. And uh, I was on the soccer team at Milken, and once I started driving, I was making mixtapes for all my teammates, and uh, everyone wanted to hear what I was listening to, and I just kind of realized that this was a passion of mine. And very quickly after graduating high school, I met a few kids that were a little older than me, like 3 or 4 years older than me, and they were already in the biz. One of them was running Capitol Records at the time. He was running the A&R department. One was a producer who they were working together, but the producer had just got a song with Jay-Z, and I was like, I need to be like this guy. This is the life for me. Like, I would do anything to work with rappers and make beats and live that life. And so I just surrounded myself with them and spent every second thinking about it, teaching myself how to use a drum machine. Thankfully, my parents let me convert my bedroom into a studio leading up to college. But I had gotten into Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, which before I got into music, I was super excited about. And then as I was getting ready to go there, I was a little like confused because I just found this passion and I was kind of leaving it. Um, so I did it. I went, and after the first few months of being there, I was fully convinced that I had made the wrong decision and I needed to make my way back to LA. So I got thankfully into USC for sophomore year, and I came back to LA and immediately got an internship I thankfully my best friend, who was a little older than me, had just got an assistant position at Interscope in the international marketing department. And I knew that's not what I wanted. So I took the internship and I finagled my way into the A&R department, actually being an intern for Jimmy Iovine, who's a legend and created Interscope Records. So I worked every day, and once school started, every day I didn't have class. I kind of made my schedule around interning. So I could just like learn about the business and make connections. And uh, a little into that, my best friend who was assisting there got offered a job at Atlantic Records working in the rap department and the A&R department. And so he was like, you got to leave Interscope and come with me. So I did. And it was the best decision I made. His boss ended up becoming my boss when I graduated college. I was not killing it in music production quite yet, and I needed to get a job. So thankfully, he offered me one. His name is Mike Karen. He's to this day one of the most influential executives in the business. I'm currently signed to him as a producer and writer. I've been signed to him since I quit that job with him after a few years of being his assistant, when thankfully started having some success. I don't know if you guys are all familiar, but Power 106, the DJ Felly Fell, became one of my friends, and I ended up, my partner and I, we go by the Futuristics, by the way. You can look up all our credits on our Wikipedia, but and kind of our story. But Felly Fell had a song that he needed produced, and he needed someone else to help him take it over the finish line. And we kind of jumped in, and he liked what we did. And thankfully, because he's the DJ at the biggest rap station in LA, the song played on the radio nonstop. And it was a song called Boomerang. Uh, it was with Pitbull and Jermaine Dupri, and it was pretty awesome. So I started feeling like a little success was coming my way. And really quickly after, I landed a song with The Game and Chris Brown called Pot of Gold. So I was, towards the end of my assistant career, and I had 2 songs on the radio. And I thought it was the perfect time for me to quit. And thankfully, my music partner had just quit his job working for Countrywide Banking, and we teamed up and made this like a career move. We signed with APG, which is Artist Publishing Group. It's owned by Mike Karen, who I was working for. Our manager was my best friend. He's actually my family member too. He was assistant, and then he found Bruno Mars. So his career was elevating, we were elevating, and he was our manager. And we kind of came up together. So I at that point, and it was 2011, I spent every waking minute. I had no social life at the time other than seeing some friends on the weekends. I was living, breathing, eating music. I was working with tons of upcoming writers and artists. One of the first artists to give me a real shot and like spend a lot of time with him in the studio was Rome from Sublime. And we made an album together. Ended up not coming out. Atlantic ended up dropping him. But it was an amazing growing experience for me. I got to meet Benny Blanco through the way and become friends with Benny. And Benny's, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's one of the biggest music producers of all time. He did every Katy Perry song and Kesha. I mean, he's Ed Sheeran's main go-to co-write. So I learned a lot through that process, and thankfully started having more hits. At this point now, I've had over half a dozen top 10 records on Billboard, and I've had 2 number ones. And I'm still doing it today. I write songs every day. It's still the most important thing to me. If I'm not creative for a day, I kind of start to go crazy on a vacation. When I go, like I have to have my laptop with me, and I need to be at least thinking about ideas, and it's just in me to be creative. So it's been a huge outlet for me. I'm sure some of you play instruments and know exactly what I'm talking about. There's something that just happens when you play music and listen to music. I mean, music is for everyone. It can bring up a memory in a second for you. It can drop your stomach. It can give you goosebumps. That's what I love about it. I love that every time I pull up to the computer or go to the keyboard, or I'm sitting and writing a song on my laptop and writing out lyrics, I know that like there's a chance that this song is going to change people's lives. It's going to make people dance. It's going to make people cry. It's going to make friends come together the way that I did at Milken with my friends, listening to all the albums that came out during the time I was at Milken and bonded us. It's priceless. So it's something I'm so lucky that I get to do for a living. I mean, it's mind blowing to me that I literally can show up to my studio in pajamas or sweatpants. I actually like one of my closest co-writers, Madison. We wrote both our number ones together. She writes all of Ava Max's stuff. She's written Lady Gaga. She like literally requires sometimes that when we do our sessions, it's pajama day. So it's like, I got lucky. I literally get to do what I love in my space, and um, most of the time the world gets to hear what I do. So it's pretty awesome. Um, I I think that's like a good overview of what I do. I would love to take any questions. Um, Willing to answer anything. I don't know what the best way to do this is, guys.
Well, that was great, Alex. I really appreciate it, and I think you have a lot of jealous 11th and 12th graders now who want your life. Um, but I do agree. I think we have some time for Q&A. Um, I don't know. I think why don't, if you're a 11th or 12th grader in the room and you have a question for Alex, just unmute yourself and go for it, and we will try and navigate it that way. If that seems to be difficult, we can always raise hands and things like that.
Yeah, I can only see like the first page, and I know there's 8. So uh, just tell me your name. I'll try to
Well,
find you.
actually, I hear sort of a better idea. Why don't you chat that you have a question, and I will call on you um, if you have a question, and that's how we can, go about that. I guess I'll start off with one, Alex, and then we'll turn it around to 11th and 12th graders.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
guess looking back now, for these students who are thinking about what they want to do in college, what they might want to major in, a piece of advice about, figuring out the right path to go on their journey.
Yeah. Um, you know, I know this because of all my friends around me and my family and my wife. Uh, I'm lucky. Like I, I graduated Milken, really not 100% certain what I wanted, but within the first few months of graduating, I quickly realized, and I know that I'm one of the few that really just kind of locked in early on what I wanted to do and went for it. My best advice though is like, don't feel like it has to come to you right after you graduate or while you're in high school. It takes time. Some of my best friends who are super successful in their careers, it took till after college for them to figure out what they wanted to do. But the one thing that remains the same for all of us is persistence. If you want something, you have to go for it. Be a mensch, be a good person, be someone that people want to surround themselves with, because that goes the longest way. If you're a good hang and you can have a good conversation with someone, and you're likable, that will help you in every career that you go into. And uh and then comes in the talent and the drive and all that. But that's my advice. Sorry, I can't hear you, Russ. I'm muted.
Any students want to write in the chat if they have a question? I'll just call on you and we will chat with Alex that way. Go ahead, Oliver.
Cool.
I was just wondering, what's a good DAW to start, like producing songs on?
Good question. Honestly, anything, Oliver. I wouldn't be too picky. It really is. It's whatever like visually looks good to you, and whatever you can get your hands on. So, I mean, personally, I use Pro Tools. I think it's a very important thing to know, just because if you do end up having success in this business as a producer, every mixer that's big and studio that you walk into is going to have Pro Tools. So like a lot of people that I've signed over the years, like I signed 94 Skirt, who produced Roxanne for Arizona, and he came to me on Fruity Loops, and I was like, cool, make your beats in Fruity Loops. But the second Arizona or one of these artists puts their vocals in, you got to go to Pro Tools. I'll teach you how to use it. And it's just going to make your life so much easier. Once you have a mix that you like, you're going to be able to send it to, like, I use Manny Marroquin to mix all my songs. If you look up Manny, he's like mixed every big song ever. Like, he created the sound for Kanye West. Like, that's my guy. He's changed my life. And when you hand deliver your song to the mixer to get the final touches, you want to just be in the same DAW as them. So there's not a lot of lost in translation things happening.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Dean, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, I was going to ask like your most important lessons or best tips for progressing efficiently as a producer.
You gotta not be precious about the songs and beats that you make. Should never be married to them. They're going to be constantly changing. Adaptation is like a really big part of my life. Like, I have to adapt to like the artist I'm with, the A&R, the executive I'm dealing with. Like, I just think that you have to be strong in your opinion and your taste, but you also have to be workable with whoever you're working with, because you're not always going to have the same exact idea on everything. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Elijah.
Hi.
What's up, man?
So I have a question. I want to know if you suggest any ways to find introductory or any sort of jobs at studios, and the best way to make connections once you're there, because I know a lot of stories. That's how a lot of people get started.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally how I started and how a lot of my friends got started. You can always get my email from Ross. I'm willing to help anyone from Milken try to give ideas. I can't promise that I'll land you something, but I'll at least give you tons of options as to how you can go about it. But I think sending an email to the assistant at or even an executive. I'll give you one good tip. Every executive, every person that works at any record label, their email is very accessible. If you know their name is Alex Schwartz, and they work at Interscope Records, which is Universal Music, 9 times out of 10 their email is alex.schwartz@umusic.com. Like, my boss, he had a really funny and smart way of hiring people sometimes. And he, or even accepting demos, if they messaged him on like Instagram or Facebook or whatever it was at the time, and they'd say, hey, Mike, what email should I send you music to? And he's like, if you can't figure out my email, I don't want you to send me music. And it's like kind of like it just shows like who's thinking outside the box and thinking, you know, a little bit deeper than just, oh, I need an email, let me ask. It was like, who's gonna get to me the you know, through trying.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question, if that's okay.
Go
Yeah.
for it, Elijah.
So, building off of what you said, um, so since a lot of people probably just send their tracks to all these labels, right? Just like, here, I want you to hear my stuff. What's a great way or a better way to kind of be different and really like get yourself like make yourself memorable to the
So there's a few things. I mean, Instagram is your best friend. TikTok is your best friend with the way that like music promotion is happening right now. So um, if you have music you want to hear, put it out there. Like, you know, I all the time take my phone. If I'm like making a hot beat or something and on my Instagram, I'll just like take my phone, show my Pro Tools, play the music, and I'll just like play it for people on my phone and people can hear it. That like I know a lot of people that have come up doing that. I do it for fun because I like showing off what I'm doing, but that's a good way. I think talking to someone like me, you know, send me music. Like I'm a very good ear to have. I've developed a lot of producers at this point, and writers. So if I think the music's great, then I will open up doors. I'll help. If I don't, I'll tell you to keep working. There's no real way to do it. You gotta just be confident in your music and put it out there. And you know, showing it to your best friends is a really good gauge on whether or not if they think it's good or not. I don't really believe in showing music to parents. Um, my parents said every single thing I did was great, even when it sucked. Um, uh, it's not till I got older that like I started having songs on the radio and they were like, "That's amazing." I'm like, "No, now this is amazing." Now, like not what I made in my bedroom when I was 19.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just gotta be confident in your talent and your music and just put it out there.
All right. Thanks, man. I'd love to talk to you in the
Yeah,
future.
anytime, email me whenever.
As I work on troubleshooting some Zoom issues for the next round of sessions, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lindsay for a couple closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Mancuda, and Alex, thank you so much for sharing your insight. It's awesome to have you back on our virtual campus with us. And I heard a lot of amazing insights, both particular to your field, but also very general. Like I heard that having a vision, personal vision matters, but then being open to others and being open in your approach matters. Kindness, minchiness, being open to people matters. That's true in every field. And I loved your insight on the infinite support of parents and where you need to balance that with when getting other opinion on your work. So thank you so much. That was incredible. I loved hearing that. So as I think Alex gave us the great kicking off point, you could hear how much insight we got on a particular field, but also on general fields. So take that approach into our next panels. So as we talked about, you're going to be making 3 choices this morning. One panel at 9:30, one at 10, and one at 10:30. As you come into each of these rooms, be prompt, as we spoke about. Have your camera on. That's very important, especially as we get into the smaller group. We want to show our alum that we're focused and attentive, and then have something handy to take notes, ask questions when there's time, etc. In the chat, one more time, I'm going to put the schedule for the day. I'm also going to make sure we had one passcode change with the entrepreneurship panel. So I'm going to put that in there. So before you leave this room, make a note of it. And then don't forget, after we do our 3 panels at noon, we're going to come back together in advisory to debrief and to share some thoughts on the day before we head off. So in a moment, I'll put the schedule in there and I'll make that modification. But before that, I just really, again, want to thank Alex for taking time out of his busy day. I want to extend that thanks to all of our alumni. Please give them gratitude when you're with them. They're taking time out of their busy day. And also, let's all give a huge thank you to Mr. Mancuda and his alumni board for making this morning possible, for gathering all the work together, and for Ms. Fatima for supporting this project. So thank you to Mr. Mancuda and the alumni team.